Hello and welcome to Tee Off with me, Shaili Chopra. This is a very special episode because we are at the historic Merion Golf Club just outside of Philadelphia. This is where Ben Hogan made a real comeback in the 1950s when he just got off the hospital bed. No one was expecting him to win, but he did. This is also where Bobby Jones won the Grand Slam. And that said, this is also where the US Open next year is going to be held. So you can imagine what it means to me for being here at the venue of next year's US Open. Joining me now is a very special guest to give us the story of what lies ahead for the club and for golf in America and emerging markets. Thanks very much for joining us. It's such a pleasure being here at Merion.
Well, I think Merion is probably one of the top 4 or 5 historical venues in the United States. Bobby Jones winning the Grand Slam, Hogan winning the Open after his almost fatal bus accident add to kind of the mystique of Merion. But I think it's basically because of its commitment to the game since the early 1900s that has held the tradition.
Right. 100 years of Merion, and you're just celebrating that. It's clearly a big moment for the course. What do you think has been really the defining story of Merion, and what does it promise ahead?
Well, I'm not sure we've grown the game that much, but we certainly have added to the historical value of the game. Merion's the kind of place, if we're requested to host a venue, most of the time the answer is yes, and those venues have been pretty significant in American golf. So we try to always be part of that, and that doesn't come easily. I mean, it's a sacrifice to our membership, and it's a lot of work.
Which one do you think has been the turning point for Merion, given that we've been talking about, Ben Hogan's comeback here and Bobby Jones in the 1930s? Which ones do you think was the turning point?
Well, I'm not sure. I think certainly Hogan, at the beginning of what would be the modern era, would have been the turning point for Merion. But certainly Jones winning the Grand Slam in the 1930s, I believe, and I think the club still believes, that that's the most significant thing that's happened in the game of golf. So one of those two events certainly has been the high watermark.
Right. There's been a slowdown in golf in America, much talked about. Do you think that really the game has moved to emerging markets and we should expect a little more push and monetary growth coming from that part of the world?
Well, it certainly has slowed down. Part of that, I think, is the economics of it. The game is expensive. It takes a lot of time. So certainly efforts are trying to be made to make it more accessible for less money, and to find a way to speed the game up. So we're not taking 5 hours or 6 hours out of your day to participate. I think if we're able to accomplish a couple of those things, we may see a little bit of a resurgence. But certainly it's tough to fight the recession and economic commitments because it is a pretty capital-intensive sport. Well, certainly I think par 3 courses were a big part of our history in the United States as well, and I think that the game is certainly recognizing that things like that need to be done. That the ball is going as far as it's going to go, I think. And part of that is maybe hindered the game because of the land. We don't have a lot of land here. We're only on 108 acres,
right? And
it is very challenging to try to accommodate the distances and things of today's game. So yes, I think certainly driving ranges, learning centers, par 3 courses are certainly a big part of certainly taking the first step.
Right. With the game making a comeback into the 2016 Olympics, do you think that would be another big game-changing moment for golf? And really, what do you think America is going to do about it? Are the players gearing up?
Well, certainly, I think it is. I know that the United States players are excited about that. And so, I think any time you bring all the players from the world together, it certainly enhances any sport. Golf is set up to be just that way. It's a very cordial game. I think it'll be played at the highest level. I think it'll do a lot for goodwill. Many of these international matches over the years were created for that benefit after wars and things, and I think there's it can only be positive to bring all the athletes.
This course next year is going to be looking at the US Open. It's clearly a big deal for the course. So what is it that you're doing and what should people watch out for?
Well, I think you're going to see a truly historical American golf course, not real long, be under 7,000 yards long, challenge the greatest players in the world, maybe in a little different way than they've been challenged over the last 4 or 5 to 10 years. It'll be more about finesse, it'll be more about shot making, it won't be about brute strength. So I think we're kind of going back to the future here.
Who are your favorite players, given the kind of change we've seen in the games of people like Tiger Woods, Mickelson, and even Rory McIlroy?
Yeah, I think McIlroy probably is the player of the future. Tiger, obviously, is a phenomenal career so far. We'll see what happens as he matures as a man and as he, has other things he'd like to do with his life. I'm sure architecture and other things. But Rory's right in his prime right now, and I think it's going to be fun to watch him.
Thanks very much for joining us. It's such a pleasure being here at Merion. This is clearly a historic moment, not only for me, but for this very show itself. As we travel across the United States, we are going to historic courses to bring you the story of how some of these courses have survived as many as 100 years. Here at Merion, it's me, Shaili Chopra, signing off after literally touching the holes that Ben Hogan and Bobby Jones made history with. Thanks for joining us.